I really, I really appreciate you having me here. I reached out and a few months ago, and you, you thought it was a great idea. So it's really good to be here. Um, Let me share screen, and then I need to share tab, and that should. It doesn't look like that's full screen, does it? Let me do that. Is that full? Is that full screen now?
Not quite, but I think we're pretty close.
Okay, good enough. And my notes disappeared. Hold on, let me try to pull those on top. Hmm. Well, I may have to wing it without those. There we go. All right. So we'll start with just a little bit about me, where I work, how I do things. I am a personal trainer, and I have my own business, and I have private clients that I see. I work at the Toronto Athletic Club right here in where I am for the week in downtown Toronto. I see clients up in Kawartha Lakes, and I also see clients online. I use an app called Form, which has a great, amazing golf capability to their app. And as you can see, my colleague at Form, they're using their mirror device, which is called the Form Studio Lift. Which, if you do have a golf facility, this is great to set in. Right there, it's in their driving range bay, and trainers can work interactively through the mirror. I can see the client can see me, and it's this close to being in person. It's not exactly, but it's pretty close. Um, I'm certified, and this is what I know about golf. I'm certified through Titleist Performance Institute, which is an amazing learning resource for medical professionals, golf professionals, and fitness professionals to look at the body swing connection, which I'll talk to in a second, and how we can make people move better, help people move better, so that they can have the best golf swing they can possibly have. I took TPI level 1 in 2013. I'm now at level 2 on 2 of their tracks through fitness and power. Um, there is a level 3, but it requires traveling to California, costs a few grand, maybe someday. Um, I'm also certified through Super Speed to teach their overspeed training stuff, which I don't know how many of you have teach overspeed training. It's a great thing to help with distance. Before we get into the next part of this, whoops, one too many there. Feel free to interrupt. Just unmute and say, "Hey Marv, I have a question. Hey Marv, you're an idiot. Hey Marv, can you explain this better?" I know that some people want to put a little hand emoji up in their screen. Unfortunately, I can't really read my notes and follow that at the same time. So please just chime in. Or maybe if Mark sees you put your hand up, he can chime in if you're feeling a little bit shy. I would love for this to be interactive.
Yeah, everybody
And that's actually how I'd like to start, with just asking you a few questions. And we can do this with hands, or if anyone wants to chime in.
just chime in. We're pretty informal, so.
Okay, yeah, that'll be perfect. So when I reached out to Mark originally, it was because I saw on the Facebook page for the Canadian Golf Teachers Federation, there was a post about all of Tiger's injuries. And there was a comment on there that said it wasn't golf, it was because he lifted weights. And I thought, all right, we need to go through some myths and do some myth busting about golf fitness with folks. Um, you know, were Tiger's injuries a result of training? Partly. I would really say they were a result of how he trained. Um, he probably had some bad advice, but he was on the cutting edge pretty much of golf fitness. Like, this did exist before him, but not like it does now. Tiger came in, showed what happens. Hey, if you train and lift weights and train for power, this is how it can really help your golf game. And I think unfortunately he went and trained with a bunch of Navy SEALs, and maybe he should have hired a TPI certified trainer. He wasn't trying to join the Navy. He wanted to play golf, so the Navy SEALs weren't the best thing for him. But why? Well, actually, sorry, I wanted to go back and actually have you guys chime in on those questions. How many people,
So
please be honest.
I was going to say, Marvin, that even though you're probably correct in Tiger Woods, because he got everybody into golf, and then so therefore golf fitness. But I think the real guy that some of us older dudes can relate to is a guy by the name of Gary Player.
100%.
And he still to this day, right, is in such superior condition for his age and stage of his life.
Yep. And Gary Player was out there, and Jack Nicklaus was making fun of him until he started lifting weights and started training for fitness. So does anyone think, I'm not going to try to change anyone's mind, I'm just going to give you the data here, but does anyone think, hey, yeah, this really is bogus? I would assume you wouldn't show up to this if you thought golf fitness was bogus. But is there anyone out there that's like, no, this guy's going to just blabber on for an hour here and there's nothing to get out of this? Okay, cool. Love it. All right. So this is, there's TPI's gym out in California, and this is TPI's way of going through things. This is what I've learned through them. And just in golf or any sport, improvement equipment is limited by technology, the rules of the games, and budget, but your body is unlimited. It's definitely cheaper to try to work on your body than it is to go and buy new equipment all the time, for the most part. So why? Most people come in and see a trainer for golf, and they have 3 goals in mind. They want to be more fit and more mobile and stronger, which allows them to, 1, put more force into the ground, which is then returned to you and then to the ball. They want to be more mobile, which allows them to get into better swing positions that allow them to have the club face where it needs to be at contact. They want to go out there and play without pain. They want to be able to play 18 and not have their back hurt. They want to have the mobility that allows the right joints to move in the right way at the right time in the right order, and the muscles working properly to help those joints move. A big thing that happens with a lot of golfers is low back pain. And 99% of the time, when your back hurts, a lot of people will go out and like, oh, I'm going to go get a massage. And it's really the muscles, mainly of the glutes and hamstrings, pulling down on your low back. And it may be the muscles around the shoulder pulling up on your low back, causing that back that's just in the middle of this tug of war to be in pain. If we strengthen the muscles that are working to move the joints right and in the right time and not overexert themselves because they're properly trained, that pain a lot of time goes away. If my 80% effort from working out is stronger than my old 100% effort, I'm less likely to have to overexert myself and cause an injury. Any thoughts there for anyone? The other thing people...
I'm just going to chime in, give
Yeah,
you a
please.
break there for a second. So I was saying that I played golf yesterday, and many of the guys on here know that my best friend is now 77. So I called him tonight to see how 18 holes, it was about 5 degrees, and it got up to maybe about 9 degrees when we finished. I wanted to see the first round of the year, and he actually hasn't played since September due to a bit of an eye issue. and wondered how his body was. And guess where he was when I called him at 5:30 tonight? He was on the treadmill. He felt great after playing, and he thought, you know what, I've got to keep this going, and it becomes more and more important. So I think, being able to play without pain, without back issues, and, at 77, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, and I'm 52. I'm turning 52 in a month. And playing without pain is more important to me than hitting 300 on the drive, because that's not going to happen. So it's, if I can go out and have fun and not, a bad back's going to just zaps the fun right out of it. And, I'll get into in a minute, like what it takes. It takes a team to help these players that often have pain. The other thing, people come in, they want to be able to play longer. And I don't just mean play 18 holes with good endurance, which is also part of playing longer, but really playing for the rest of their life. Being able to play until, I think, Mark, you said your friend was 77. Play until you're 77. Play until you're 80. Get your health span and your lifespan to meet. I think it's a great goal. This is a little morbid, but it's a great goal to live with a lot of energy as long as you can, and then just drop dead without slowing down and being sick. Fitness is the key to doing that. And the things that help your golf game and fitness are the same things that just help you be generally healthier for most people. So then there's the body swing connection. And this is a TPI quote from Greg Rose, who founded TPI. There's more than one way to swing a club. Every player has their own right way, but there is one efficient way for each player to swing. And it's that efficient way is what that player can actually physically do. If you don't have the requisite stability, strength, mobility, someone can either modify their swing to make up for those shortcomings, or they can improve their physical tools, their body, or working with a trainer who works side by side with a teaching instructor, with a swing pro coach, you do both, which helps the person out the most. I'll get into this more in the end, but there's going to be some math. There's going to be some physics in there. What's the key to distance? What's the key to a powerful swing? And it's different types of training in the right order. And that's where this chart comes in. I train everyone on how to be more mobile first, and then how to add motor control and strength to that mobility. Because if you're thinking about mobility and the ability of a joint to move through its full range of motion, if you strengthen a shortened range of motion, that's all that's going to get strong. If you improve that range of motion and then strengthen that, you have a stronger, full range, more capable body. If you train mobility and then strength before you train power, and especially overspeed training, swinging super speed clubs or ripsticks or anything, just swinging out of your shoes like that. If you don't have the requisite mobility and strength and control over your body, you may not get hurt the first time, but you will get injured down the road.
Yeah, this would be a recipe for injury right away, right, Marvin?
Absolutely.
People who are ill-advised or don't follow these steps, just the way like we teach golf, right? There has to be a rhyme and a reason in the order in which we do things. And if people just jump out there and buy some speed sticks or some arrow swings or weighted clubs, then they're just an accident waiting to happen.
My clients all the time, I'll sell them some super speed sticks. I will gladly sell them those after they've done the requisite work. And super speed says the same thing. You need to do the strength training first, but they don't stop you from buying their clubs if you want them. They are a great tool. All right, let's get into some myths versus facts. Who's heard that strength training will make you stiff and ruin your swing and injure you? I hear it all the time. So I know that's out there. And there's Gary Player. just as he was brought up earlier. Strength training will actually help you hit further, play more with less pain, less chance of injury, and just enjoy your day on the golf course. More days on the golf course. There's the man of the week. Strength training help you hit further. You'll play more. You'll be less injured. Might not win the Masters, but he pulled that through. You know, you're going to argue with Rory. Just by the way, that's probably about 275 pounds on the bar based on the size of the plates he's lifting, and he weighs about 160. So that's 1.71 times his body weight. So keep that number in mind because that's going to come up a little bit later. And, you know, if you need more convincing long drive competitor, Justin James, he works for TPI. He teaches the power course through TPI that I've taken. In 2017, he won the long drive championship, which is, I know it's a different kind of swing and a different kind of golf, but 435 yards. And he is a big believer in hitting the gym. This is a pet peeve for me. But the myth is that golf exercise needs to look golfy. It needs to look like the golf swing. Or it needs to be what you see pros doing on Instagram. And the truth is, just improving your general fitness will improve your golf game. If someone's current state is the couch and they don't leave the couch, the basics in the gym are going to help them immensely. If someone's further down the road and they're more of an elite golfer, they may need to do more elite things. But if you squat, hip hinge, and bench press, it will help you. It will improve your game. And then there's the stuff that you see the pros doing on Instagram that is just so next level. I don't know that anyone needs to be doing some of the things I see on Instagram. And how many of you have looked at Instagram and seen an instructor and just been like, what are they even doing? What are they trying to teach there? Is that common for the golf instructor? I see some nods. You know,
everybody at je te parle pas, il a fait un point, je sais, il est pas dans une caverne.
It's the same thing in fitness.
Je sais déjà. J'ai les gars sans que tu me dises.
So much stuff. My French isn't very good, but if someone can mute, I would appreciate that because I can't answer in French. I wish I could.
For a second, I thought it was me. Sorry about that. I was just going to say, Marvin, a lot of people are asking me, what am I doing at the gym?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, I like to do all compound movements, but sometimes I'm going to work on the mobility. And the mobility is what people are not, used to. But like you say, it's so important to work out everything but rotational force, because otherwise it's the only force you're going to have. You got to have explosion, you got to have propulsion, you got to have everything else. And those compound regular movement at the gym will definitely be a bonus for you.
Absolutely. The best things to do are those compound moves. And what he means by compound moves, for anyone who doesn't know, more than one body part at a time. Getting on a machine that only does a curl is only helping really one set of muscles at a time. But when you compound those movements, so you're doing a squat where it's your knees and your hips, and you're having to hold the bar up, those are great. Kettlebell swings, great compound moves, amazing things like that. And the mobility work, I'm saying all you need to do is squat and press, but the people that only squat and press are the ones who end up being stiff. And the term muscle bound means just that. You're bound up by your muscles. I'll get into this in a bit. You got to do that mobility work. So thanks. Another myth. Golfers need to buy some sort of golf grip program or golf grip gizmo in order to improve their grip strength. There's a debate about how much grip strength really helps. I can get into that. It's a little too deep. All you need to do to improve your grip strength is hang on a bar and do some pull-ups. Pick up something heavy and carry it around. Pick up something off the floor like a deadlift that's heavy. If you are holding heavy things in your hands, your grip strength will improve. You only need to train the lower body. You only need to squat. You only need to deadlift. You only need to have those big, strong legs. Upper body strength builds club head speed, especially, I'll get into it a little bit down the road, and upper body horizontal push like a bench press. Everyone knows this quote, and I probably don't need to tell this group that strokes gained has sort of meant that drive for show, putt for dough isn't really true. If you can get closer to the green, you're going to save about, what is it, 2.5 strokes per round? For some of us, that could be a real changer for you. So being able to hit farther with more power improves your scores. Did you know that if you Google unathletic golfer, you get a picture of John Daly right off the bat? I would say he's athletic. He's naturally gifted athlete. I'll risk saying this. I think he's proof that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. You know, he would rather be at the bar than work hard, and his career could have been longer. That's just my...
Right. I think we could say the same for Shane Lowry. Right.
Yeah.
Not a real physical specimen, but such a great athlete.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
very
Even though
flexible.
he doesn't, have that appearance like Rory or Bryson or any of the others, lean, mean guys on there, but still very, very athletic, very talented.
Well, when I look at this picture, look at his hips. I mean, he can get his lead hip around. That's impressive with the amount of weight he's carrying around, which would tend to make you more stiff. So if I ask the group, anyone chime in, what type of athleticism do you think is needed for golf? And I accidentally went a slide ahead, so you may have seen the answer. But for example, what kind of athlete do you think a golfer is more like? A marathoner, a sprinter, or a shot putter?
My
Anyone
guess
can
is
throw it
a
out there.
marathoner.
Okay. Well, that's great. What makes you think a marathoner?
Because when you're walking 7 miles on average.
Right.
Plus you're exerting, every time you take that swing, you're exerting a large amount of energy.
Totally. And it's the second part that I am going to pull onto. It is more like that shot putter. And yes, you do need to have the endurance. You need to have that base level of endurance. And when I pull my pyramid up again, you'll see that endurance, aerobic capacity is at the bottom. But golf is a power sport. Golf is one action with a lot of force, followed by a nice walk or cart ride. So I'll get into some definitions on power a little bit.
I would chime in before you go there that's where golf is now. Golf at one time it was a finesse game as well.
It was a finesse game. I'll throw in, how far could Bobby Jones hit a golf ball with a wooden stick on the end of a stick? He was hitting 300 yards. So he probably had more power because he didn't have the equipment. Just something to think about. But yeah, it was more of a finesse game. And that's something that's really changed, is with, more focus on how far you can drive versus your short game. Maybe there needs to be some balance there, but that's your guys' bailiwick. Here's a myth. This golf fitness dude that's talking to us tonight is going to steal my clients. I give all of my clients my email address and ask them to share it with their instructor. And anyone care to guess how many times their pro or their instructor or their swing coach has gotten back to me in 13 years of doing this?
Sadly, not enough.
0. I have
Right.
never had one reach back out to me. I have emailed them. I've had their clients tell them it's okay to talk to me. And I think that's a real miss. I think that is a real place where we really could all get together. And it's why I'm here tonight, because it takes a team. TPI uses this F1 analogy where the golfer is the equipment, the golfer is the car, and their swing coach is the driver. The swing coach is the center person, and there's a physio and doctors and fitness person and whoever else that they need to reach out to, mental coach, that all work in an orbit around the golfer and their coach, around your golfers and you. Maybe that's a pipe dream on my part, but it is something I would love to see. Anyone else have any myths they've heard that they think we could address?
Definitely, and I'm a bigger guy. When bigger guys get lean, they lose their timing. Like David Duval, for instance. Many people can remember when David Duval was fairly soft-bodied, and he was the best player in the world for a very short time, and then he become non-factor in a lean cuisine body.
And was it Bryson 2 or 3, 4 years ago who just got huge? And moving better will change your timing. Moving better will change your tempo. And then we need to return back to the swing coach and figure that all out. And it may, and it may be that some time is needed. And that's another thing, and I'll make that another myth. I was going to address it a little later on. I would love for golfers come to me now. They're like, I need to get ready. I've got a tournament in 2 weeks. What do you want me to do? You should have come to me in September when the golf course is closed, and we could tear you down and then build you back up. But that's just not how that works. So who can improve their golf by improving fitness? I'll just go right out and say everyone.
Everyone. Yeah.
Everyone. Absolutely can.
This is what we have to do too, and we all sort of know that. Everybody on the panel here tonight knows that we need to educate our clients, our students, our people in front of us that, if they truly want to get better at this game and they want to play longer and play pain-free, we all understand that the number one piece of equipment is their body. And it's up to us to make that, well known to whoever's standing in front of us. But it's a hard pill because everybody thinks they're going to buy a better game. This is not new. We talk about this all the time. They can go down and drop $700 or $800 now on a new driver, and they think that's the answer. But we have to show them and be able to convince them that that's not the answer.
It might be the answer for a round or two, and then they go buy something else new. But yeah, Jeff, you're absolutely right. And they hear it from their spouse. They hear it from their doctor. You need to be more fit. You need to lose some weight. You need to nag. But if we can put it into, hey, you love this game. You want to get better at it? Here's some things you can do. And then when they have that goal that's really tangible, as opposed to, I might not have a heart attack. Well, I'm not going to not eat this Twinkie because I might not have a heart attack, but they might go push some weight around because they might play better than their friends. Has anyone ever had a golfer who they just can't do? You coach and you come up with every creative way to word things, show things, give them a drill, give them homework, and they just come back and they just can't. Yeah, I see some hands going up there.
I had 2 today.
Yeah, I get it in the gym too. And then I had to realize it's on me to help them find what's missing. But it's on me to also maybe refer them out to a physio because they actually have a issue that a physio can work on. It may be that I'm giving them a movement and I'm giving them the most miraculous coaching cues in the world, but their body just won't do it. But if they go and work on their mobility, if they can change their body, then when they come back to the hitting bay or the driving range or the course, they might just have a new ability. I think that's Shaq with that terrible swing, but I stole all these pictures again. I Googled them. All right. So here's my thing. I put all of my golfers into really 2 types of buckets, and then there's some sub buckets. I was in a seminar when I was a brand new trainer, and the guy leading the course, Todd Durkin, trains a bunch of football players. He's out of San Diego, and he said, who in this room of probably 200 people, who trains high-level athletes? And every hand went up but mine. Thing is, they were all lying. They train good athletes, but they weren't training pros. So that's why you need to separate the pros out from the other, us mortals. So we have these 2 overall types of golfers. There's the performance golfer, and then there's the social golfer, right? The performance golfer can be a high-level athlete. The social golfer can be the person whose most important thing on the course is the beer cart. You're going to have that full range, right? That next level, high-level athlete, someone who maybe go to the tour someday, someone who maybe will make golf their living like you do. It might be someone who's going to just play NCAA Division III, hopefully Division I if they're working with you. But these are the people who they need next level stuff because their understanding of their body, their physical skills, they're specimens, and they need training for specimens. I have worked with some NFL players, and they're actually easier to work with because their understanding of their body is perfect versus the normal person who really doesn't have a lot of proprioception, meaning understanding of what their body is doing and where their body is in space. Then you have a second performance bucket. These are the people who want to play better to beat their friends. They want to be the club champion. But then you have the social people, and this is the biggest bucket, and it holds most of us. And they want to play with their friends, but they still probably want to beat their friends. They still probably want to hit further. They still want to play without pain, and they definitely want to play longer in life because they want to play through retirement and be out on the golf course every day. And then there's one more bucket, and it's juniors. Juniors need to be trained a little bit differently. Their bodies are immature. They're physically immature. They generally have more mobility than adults, and they already have the ability to build power more than strength. Where after 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, you really lose that. It's harder to build power, but it's a lot easier to build strength. But if you train in the gym juniors for power at a young age, they will keep that power for life. And even if they leave the game and come back, they will still have that. Also, when training juniors, I try to make the goal fun as opposed to some sort of physical thing. Like, can I gamify what they're doing in the gym? But I don't know, I don't work with a lot of young people. I work with mainly a lot of adults. All right. So standards, what should a golfer be able to do in the gym? Those next level golfers need to be able to, like I said, they need to be able to do next level things. So these are the numbers where they should be able to lift weights with these lifts for bench press 1.25 times the body weight, squat 1.5 times their body weight, and a deadlift 1.75 times their body weight. In that picture of Rory earlier, I said he was doing about 1.71 times his body weight. He's got some work to do. He needs to get up that 1.75 number. These aren't the maximums that people need to do, but this is where its impact on your ability to hit further and create power in your golf swing. You start to see diminishing returns after this. If you can do more, awesome, because it's healthy, it's strong, it's going to help you be a higher performer human being. But for next level golfers, this is really it. And just for an interesting point of reference, NCAA Division I football players need to be able to do twice their body weight on all of these moves. And that's just, like I said, they're specimens. What do the normal golfers, so our club champions who are still performance-based and our social golfers, what standard do they need to be able to work towards? More than they're doing now. They may never get to 1.75 times their body weight on the deadlift, but if they can do 1 times their body weight and in 6 months do a little bit more than that, they're going in the right direction. You know, there's a lot of things you can do to improve your fitness, and the best way is to assess them, see where they are. I mentioned the TPI training, the TPI certification that I hold. We have a mobility assessment, we have a strength assessment, and we have a power assessment. We put you through them in that order, and we see where you need to put in the work. And then juniors, I already mentioned, it just needs to be fun. Work on power, work on speed, work on fun. So again, I'll summarize this because I think this just needs to be repeated. For most golfers, what's strong enough, what's powerful enough, and what's mobile enough, stronger, more powerful, and more mobile than they are right now. All right, so power. Here's Rory again. I didn't know how great it would be on Sunday when I put all these pictures in this presentation, but he's the perfect example. Look at Rory's shoulder turn. How far do we say like the ultimate shoulder, the optimal shoulder turn should be for a golfer? Anyone can chime in.
Are you talking about the X factor?
Yeah, the X factor.
Yeah. Is it like 1 point, how do they calculate, like 1.75? 1.45?
You know, if you look at it in that X factor way, I think that's right. I was just going for the 90 degrees of shoulder turn.
Oh yeah, he's got over that. He's got more than that. Plenty. He's got 120.
What I read this morning was 113. Yeah, so
113. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, but again, specimen. You know, I want to see most people be able to get to 60 degrees. 90 degrees would be ultimate. 60 degrees of shoulder turn without you can't really get to 90 degrees of shoulder turn without your hips. So 60 degrees of shoulder turn without your hips. And the rest comes from a little bit of hips. So here's just some definitions. You know, so when you hear people talk about strength, when you hear people talk about power, and you hear people talk about mobility, strength is how much mass you can move. How heavy of a thing can you pick up or push? Power is how much mass can you move once or twice, max 4 times. Power lifters in the Olympics, they're just doing that one big lift. Golfers, we're doing that one swing at a time and then some rest. Mobility is how much range of motion can you access without any help? And I'll just clarify, a lot of people come in and it's like, oh, I want to improve my flexibility. I take flexibility and I understand what they're trying to say. But flexibility is if I lay you on the ground and I pick up your leg and I can raise your foot up so it's past your hips, that's how flexible you are. Mobility is if you lay on the ground, how high can you raise your own leg up? How much of that flexibility, how much of that range of motion can you access on your own? Just how trainers look at it, just so you can know. So we have the most strength in the middle of our range of motion. If you take any joint and your T-spine, so that shoulder rotation is your thoracic spine, it's a joint, it's a series of joints in your upper spine, but I'll just use the elbow. If I have full range of motion, I probably only have a lot of strength from about there to there. If I have this much range of motion, I only have strength from there to there. So we need to increase that range of motion so we can access more strength, right? In the golf swing, you need to have that range of motion for multiple golf movements. So here's just a chart that says the same thing. If we increase mobility and our range of motion is the bottom of this graph and the strength is that curve, where the dotted line is where we're strongest is in between those dotted lines. If we move that range of motion out, we improve the strength. That curve gets bigger. I made this chart up, so I have no idea if it's clear, but it makes sense to me. That was half of a joke. And there's some animations that I forgot were in there. So in the TPI screen, we look at 16 different areas. We're looking at 16 movements that are all component into a golf swing. If you have all 16 of these to the standard, we're ready to move on and work on strength. If you have all 16 of these to the standard and you're strong, we can then move on and work on power. But what I've found is most golfers can really focus on 4 of the areas. Hip internal rotation on their lead hip, shoulder external rotation on their trail arm, T-spine rotation, the ability of your upper back to rotate, and cervical rotation, which is your neck, your ability to look side to side. Oh, but we wanted their head to not move around a lot. Yes, but your body's going to move under your head, which is the same as moving your head over your body. Any questions there? Great. So in order to get that 90-degree shoulder turn, 90-degree backswing, that X factor to whatever the number is there, what does the golfer need? They need to be able to externally rotate their trail arm past their own spine. They need to be able to move their lower body to 60 degrees, and they need to be able to move their upper body, rotate to 60 degrees. And they need to just have enough shoulder rotation. But these areas have the most bang for the buck. If someone has wrist issues, they're not going to be able to release the club, and those are other things that can be worked on. But those 4 areas are really most everybody. And I'm going to relate some of these areas to some swing characteristics in a second. But don't think that I'm saying just fixing these areas will fix everyone's swing. What I'm saying is if they have these swing characteristics and coaching alone isn't helping them, let's look at the body and change the body so that their body will allow for their best swing. All right, so the secrets to distance, you guys know this. Number 1, just club face contact. If you're not hitting, if you're just not hitting well, you're not going to get distance. But a mobile and strong body and the ability to access power on top of that. Whoops. Let me go back one, because here's the physics. You remember high school physics? It was a long time ago for me, and I don't know that I was awake. But power is work over time. And then you break that down. Work is force times distance. How far can you move a force is actual work. So if you take force, and we went into these definitions earlier, that's your strength. The distance is actually your body's movement, the distance in your backswing, and the size of the swing arc is the distance that you're talking about to build power, and then how fast you can do it. So it's what Greg Rose at TPI calls strength speed. Can you move strong and fast at the same time? So then you take those and you go a powerful swing. Well, it's strength, resistance training, times your mobility work divided by your speed. So if you do resistance training, you start with mobility training, and then when your body's ready, you add in speed training. I'm not going to guarantee anything, but you're probably going to get, well, if you can swing 1 mile an hour faster, you're going to get 2 more yards out of that. If you can swing 10 miles an hour faster, you're going to get 20 more yards out of that. But here it is again with that base of anaerobic conditioning. And then up the side of the chart here, you'll see that there's the different TPI assessments. So you got mobility, you've got your strength, and you've got your power. And as we move through this training, you assess over and over again to make sure you're doing it right. Because there's a lot of art to the science of training. And you want to do something, have them do it for a few weeks, and then assess and see if it's working. If it's not working, you say, oh, hey, let's try something else. I think this might work for you too. Playing longer. So moving into that third wish of the golfers. Every decade after about 42, we lose 5% of our strength and our power. And of course, that impacts our ability to play golf. That impacts our ability to swing the club with any speed and then get distance. Unless we keep training. Everyone loses strength and power over time. Everyone will lose strength and power over the decades. But if you work out, and this graph just demonstrates it, you will lose less of it. That arrow over on the side where it says range of strength in individuals, I'd actually look at that. Yeah, that person lost as they got older in that light blue line, but they've actually gained from where they could have been. You may not be as strong as you once were, but you are stronger than you would have been if you didn't put in the right exercise. The science is there. The science is solid. Longevity is based on exercise and especially strength training. Cardio is important too, because if your heart isn't strong, it doesn't really matter about the rest of it. You got to do the mix of everything. You got to get in the cardio. And I'm not talking about golfers. I'm talking about everyone. Cardio and strength and mobility work. And the older we are, the more mobility work we need too. So I like the just rule of thumb that every decade we should add 10% more of our workout towards mobility. So I'm 52, so half of my workout time is mobility work. And it's either I'm going to work out for an hour today and the first 30 minutes are mobility, or I'm going to work out today and tomorrow, and today I'll do mobility and tomorrow I'll do strength. And then in order to keep that becoming muscle bound and that feeling of, oh, I'm just going to get stiff if I'm working out, you got to have a balanced workout. And for golf, you got to start with that movement prep, warm up, and mobility work. And then for strength and power, the biggest movers are an upper body push like a chest press, a lower body pull like a hip bridge or a deadlift, an upper body pull like a row, and a lower body push like a squat. This is really the secret sauce. We used to make workouts around muscle groups. I'm going to do arms today. I'm going to do legs today. If you build it around these movements, it's more like real life. We don't pick up our groceries and go, oh, I'm going to bicep curl these groceries. We just pick up our groceries. And we don't grab a golf club and go, okay, I'm going to, shoulder goes to this angle and elbow goes to this angle. We really, we just swing the club, and we need to have the component parts that are capable of doing it. So here's one thing I really want to get into, and that our central nervous system, our brains are smart enough to put together the strength work we do in the gym into our golf swings. It doesn't have to be exactly like a golf swing in order for us to get stronger. In fact, if it's just like a golf swing, our central nervous system is going to get confused and be like, oh, this is a lot like my golf swing, but I'm picking up this heavy dumbbell and I'm swinging it with bad form. Those movements are going to mess up your swing. Pick on in a second. I think I've beaten this up. I kind of got to it ahead of my slide here, but a balanced training program plus mobility work is what keeps you mobile and still able to swing the club without being stiff. How many of the people you work with love medicine ball passes because they think it's golfy and they think that it's a great thing to do for power? All right, that's all. So one hand there. It is great for power, but it's one of those things that's so close to the golf swing that if you, and everyone does this, if you get the sequencing wrong, it's going to be backwards from your swing and it's going to slow your swing down. Most people pick up a medicine ball, and especially with a wall throw where they're bouncing the medicine ball off a wall, it's arms and then hips. And that's going to get you to be arms and hips, arms before hips in your swing. What's the answer to that? Get the sequencing right. Get those arms to lag back, get the hips going, and spring that medicine ball into the wall. But it requires coaching the people to, hey, do this in the right sequencing.
I tell people to also try a resistance band, like because it's lighter when they first do it. But then, of course, the medicine ball is, like you said, it's so much better because it really mimics the movement of throwing rather than the resistance band, like, you know, pulling you back every time. But with something very light, I find that, you know, people kind of get it. And we do this also when we do lessons, right? Like it's so visual that they can actually see what's going on with, you know, the force and everything else.
So true. That using a band is great because the more the band is stretched out, the more it's pulling against you. So the resistance changes as you go through the movement. Plus, if you're doing a twisting movement, that band's holding you back. If you're holding a band in your arms, it's going to hold your arms and shoulders back so you can start to get your hips through. That's a fantastic tool. I'm almost to the end here. How many of you have a warm-up that you suggest to your clients? How many
Kind of. Depends who. It depends who, right? Like,
what kind of thing do you suggest?
I would say for any like younger adults that I do know that they are healthy, I don't want to do like just very simple, like just stretch, you know, just going like that. I mean, it's going to be something very similar to the movement in the golf swing, right? So opening the shoulders, like, you know, just feeling comfortable, and also, you know, having some of warm-up exercise that will trigger actually what you're going to use in your golf swing. Like if you've been sitting on a chair for 7 hours working at the office and you expect to hit 300 yards, you know, on your first drive, well, you haven't used your legs all day. Like you got to warm up those legs, right?
1,000%. Like, yeah, and thank you. And those are great things to do. And I am as guilty as most people of somehow staying at home to the point where I've got to get to the parking lot and sprint to pay and then sprint to the first tee. So my answer there is I do my warm up at home. I'm still going to leave late, but at least I got the warm up done. Most people, Like, well, I went to the driving range. That's my warm up. It's really just not enough. That's like saying that, you know, a baseball player's warm up needs to just be throwing the ball. A baseball player's warm up needs to just be swinging a bat. Like no other athletes that play at a serious level, other than golfers, think they can just go right to the start and get going. I'm not quite sure where the mindset comes from, but like I said, I'm guilty of it too. So some great things to do: T-spine rotations, rotate and open, rotate and open. Sitting on the ground in a long sit, meaning your legs straight out in front of you, and pretending my hands are my feet, rotating from the hip, the entire leg, warming up that internal and external rotation. Getting pelvic rotations, getting the hips moving, rotating and tilting. And that's something I find that a lot of golfers I work with have no idea that their pelvis should do this. And their body just doesn't own that movement. A golfer's squat, whoops, I went the wrong way there. A golfer's squat, meaning most people, if you do a bodyweight squat, they're going to start with their hands at their side, and as they squat, they throw their hands up. I want to start with your hands up when you're down into the bottom of a squat, and then as you stand, you're driving into the ground and you're bringing your arms down, just like you would be bringing the golf club down as you push force into the ground. And then the powerhouse reach is basically getting into your backswing and getting a reach and then a quick swing through. And that's the last thing. It's just really reaching, rotating hips, arms, legs, all together at the same time. If anyone wants to know these workouts, I can send you videos. I'd be happy to. If someone really wants to focus on power, they need to do more powerful stuff. They need to wake up their glutes. They need to do some 180 jumps where they're jumping in the air and turning around and landing the other direction and go both directions. Split squats in a dynamic way, and dynamic push-ups. It's a clapping push-up where you drive into the ground, get off the ground. How much power in all of these moves can you create? It's 8 o'clock. Can I keep going? I didn't go as fast as I thought I would. Okay, and I will cruise through these. I break everyone's training down into in-season, off-season, and preseason. And I said earlier that I wish people would come to me in September when the course is closed, because when you're off-season, you can work on more. When someone's in season, we want to maintain their strength, we want to maintain their power, but we want to prevent injury. And we don't want them to spend 3 hours in the gym each week because they want to they want to be on the course. In season, more in the gym isn't better, just better movement is better. Off season, that's when we need to improve strength. That's when we need to improve mobility. And that's when we can put the work in. It might slow someone down. It might make them stiff for a little while. It might make them sore for a little while, but it's not going to impact their golf game until they go to, hopefully not Florida, until they go to Mexico and play some in the winter. And then you get into preseason. So where we are right now, the courses are opening up. And this is when you want to improve your power, improve your speed, and maximize that mobility that you've worked on. You're taking the strength work and the mobility work you did it through the off season and really making it more applicable to the golf course. So I don't know Tom Patry. I heard him on a podcast once, but this is what stood out. He's a golf pro. He got himself on a magazine cover. It's the only picture of him I could find. But he has 6 spokes to golf instruction. And the first spoke is how the body moves and how the body is conditioned. Your mental game, your thought process on the course, how you analyze the game, then your equipment, then how you practice. And you know better than I do, but chunked practice versus specialized practice, and technique. He teaches technique last. Just found that really interesting. And here's the thing. If you have the same process and you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. So someone who adds fitness and exercise into their routine, they're going to see a change. But if they don't, they won't. So I really appreciate your time. I sped it up at the end. I hope I didn't babble. This is how everyone can reach me. I work, I have my own health coaching business, and it's Marvin@NixonHealthCoaching.com, and Nixon at Toronto Athletic Club here in Toronto. Any questions, comments?
Well, I thought you did a great job.
Thank you. Was that Jeff? Thank you.
I have one question
Yeah.
about your bench and squat deadlift. Your ratio about 1.5, 1.25
Right.
is regarding for a regular person under 50, or is it for everybody, male, female?
That's really just for those high level golfers, and younger high level golfers. That's a good point to make. Everyone else just needs to be doing more than they were doing 6 weeks ago. I'm trying to slide back through the slides here. They're not going very fast. But if everyone else are the normal mortals that aren't going to go to the tour or aren't going to go play in school, just need to be, you just want to see improvement. If they can only bench 50 pounds today, but in 6 weeks they can bench 75, they're doing the right things. They're doing the stuff. They're doing what it takes, right? They just need to be stronger, more powerful, and more mobile. And the mobility work probably takes the most time. Does that help clear that up?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Thanks for asking.
I have one quick question, Marvin.
Yes.
So let's say for a recreational golfer, the social ones, the biggest of the bucket, like what would you say, like what would be your approach? I don't want to say sales pitch, but like how would you tell them, yeah, you don't have 3 days a week to work out, 1.5 hours every session, but like how would you approach them and say, yes, you can still implement some workouts without, trying to find a time for it? Like, how would you tell them, like, to do that?
That is the greatest question in training. I would bet you find the same thing when you're telling your clients, your students, that they need to practice more. People are like, I don't have time. And I'm very blunt with people. You will make time for the things that are important to you. And I ask them, how important, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is gaining strength to you? Okay. Oh, it's a 9. Okay. If it's a 9 to you, where do you think you can make the time? And I put everything on my clients. I don't try to feed them. I don't try to mansplain to them, oh, here's where you can find time in your life. It's always, for me, it's about questioning and asking them, how important is it to you? Well, if it's that important, where can you make the time? And they'll come back with, well, I got this, and I got this, and I got this. Okay, well, how important are those other things? 6. Okay, so this is a 9, and that's a 6. Why are you putting more time into that than into something that's more important to you? That's how I handle that. It works a lot of times.
Good. Yeah. I like that answer. Yeah. Yeah. I like that answer. I'll note that down.
Right.
Just the point that I found that helps a lot too is that it's by example. So when I go to the golf course, I spend a lot of time chipping, and people notice that, and they come up and they comment to me, about how well I chip, and I said, well, it's because I'm out here on a regular basis. Well, also when it comes to fitness, I'm in the gym 2 hours 5 times a day, or five times a week. And people see that. They see I'm in pretty good shape for a 72-year-old guy. And I can also hit the ball fairly far for my age. So it's the example that we set that actually motivates others to put into practice what we ask them to.
Yeah, I'm afraid to eat pizza in public. One of my weight loss clients will see me. So I hide and eat full pizzas. Hey, David, do you have a hand up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would like to say that was a great thing, Marvin, you just did for us. I'm TPI level 2. One day I'll go to California too. But
Let's go together.
I agree. Okay.
All
I
right.
agree with everything you said tonight. It was excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Marvin, are you aware of the Golf Forever trainer fitness device?
Yeah, I've seen it, and I believe it's very similar to the RIP trainer, which is something TRX makes.
Right.
Yeah, it's an elastic loaded training pole. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great tool, and it's a great
It's a
tool
great
for
tool.
people
It's
that
got a
teach
great app.
certification.
I think again, it's creating awareness, using it, having it, using it. But just if you get our golfers using that, those examples of those warm-up exercises that you gave us there, maybe we all, once we see this slide again, we print these off and we practice these ourselves, and we, do them regularly. Like Dale was saying, if people see you doing it, they're going to clue into why you're a better player and you're playing longer, you're playing pain-free, you play well. It's all because you're doing all the right things in the right order. So it's another educational thing that we have to do as golf teaching professionals.
I just thought of this. I should have thought of it before, but for all of you, if you would like me to put you through the TPI screen, and David can do this too if you're close to him. I can do it online. I can put you through all of the movements of the TPI screen. Happy to meet you in Toronto in person. If you happen to be in Core of the Lakes, I can meet you up there. I'm close to Coboconk up there, and doing it online. Then I'll just throw you onto the TPI's app and program the exercises for you straight through their app. I'm happy to do that. It's a pretty neat app, and it just has videos and shows you the exercises you can do to improve those mobility points.
Thank you. That's a very kind and generous offer. So personally, I had a hip replacement, and I work out with a TPI chiropractor in the Oakville area.
Oh, perfect.
So it is a great app. But as I tell my clients, practice at anything doesn't come in a pill format. You have to participate.
Right. Yes. You've got to put in the work in order to get the results. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Well, that was great. Thank you very much for your time and your efforts.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time.
I just wanted to say something. Actually, the last point, I'm TPI certified 2, level 3 power in golf. And the comment about finding chiro that are TPI certified, like in my experience in Ottawa, there is a few certified personal trainers that have the TPI certification. But I would encourage you, again, as part of this team concept, I actually have the privilege of working with a number of physiotherapists and chiros that who are also like TPI certified, and it can create a pretty interesting referral network. So I would really encourage you, and some of them will actually approach you, and I can just speak to the power of being able to. Because if you look at your clientele, my clientele, I get a lot of people who are coming to me because of injuries, hip replacement, knee replacement, etc. It's always nice to be able to sit down and knowing that they have a chiro or a personal trainer in the back there to help them.
And having a chiro that understands the game, having a trainer that understands the game. Do they need to be TPI certified? It's the best education out there, but maybe if they just play, at least they understand. But if you go to mytpi.com It's just mytpi.com for those of you who aren't TPI certified. You can search for certified professionals that are TPI, and they put the effort in. We've all put the effort in. It's when I took the level 1 course, you had to go spend a weekend in person. Now it's online. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of amazing information. And even on the my TPI website, again, mytpi.com, you can just go through the videos there, and you're going to find like the smartest names in golf instruction, and the smartest names in fitness, and the smartest names in medicine and chiropractic, just putting up free videos. I didn't mean to sell TPI, but it's pretty great.
Well, Marvin, that was fantastic. Fantastic to wrap up our continuing education with something fun and something that we can all be kind of inspired to find the better versions of ourselves too, not just our students. So I think it's really important.
And I just looked in the chat. Someone asked what are the main differences in golf fitness approaches for males versus females. I could get a really deep dive into like postmenopausal and the cycles for females and how you should train them. But generally, for golf, there's not a lot of differences. We're really looking at the individuals.
Marvin, I had a question for you.
Yes.
Are you a firm believer in time under tension workouts?
Well, yeah, that's what builds strength.
Okay, I just want. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, just the more time that you're holding the weight, the slower you're moving, the more strength you are going to build, the more hypertrophy you're going to create. So you will get a bigger, stronger muscle.
Okay, so it's not a coincidence because I've been doing time under tension workouts for about 6 months, and literally I've been hitting the ball 10 to 15 yards further.
What kind of workouts were you doing before?
Just regular workouts where I was doing standards like lifts, and there was no pause in between. There was no counts necessarily. It was just, straight up and straight down.
And so now you're doing count like 5,
like 4 count, like a 4 count,
up, 4 down,
4 count. Yeah. So, and I was just wondering if that's a coincidence or is it really?
Yeah, it sounds like it's not a coincidence. Sounds like
no. So I was wondering
you're
if
proving it. Yeah.
Okay.
I would
So,
throw in some power
I've been
stuff
trying to like with the students that I've been coming in contact lately, they've been asking me what kind of workouts, and I've been telling them I think time under tension is better workouts if you want to see more distance.
Yeah, it's a great way to build strength.
Okay.
And there's that, and that's the base of that pyramid: mobility and then strength.
Cool.
Good for you, Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark, it's crazy. Like I have to scale, like I'm hitting like irons too far. I was like, what the heck? Like even the guys are noticing, like, what are you doing? What are you doing that's so different that you're hitting the ball? Like your drive sometimes are like 20 yards further. Like, what are you doing? So I'm like, I don't know. I've been doing this time under tension workouts and they've been working. So I got guys doing it now. So
nice.
I'm trying to implement it in my own coaching style and things like that. So just to be a little different,
It brings a lot of stability work at the same time because
balance.
Balance as well. So if you got more balance, the more power you're gonna just throw into one direction, and it's gonna be more stable. And the fact that you're doing something different than what you used to, then your body reacts to this.
Muscles are
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So maybe in a few months you're gonna have to change. But that's a pretty good cycle to go through.
Right.
Yep, that was going to be my point.
Marvin, fantastic presentation. Thank you so much. I know a lot of my students, they just think that just doing yoga or Pilates is good enough. What are some of the limitations, in your opinion, of just doing yoga exclusively would be?
Yeah, yoga is fantastic body control, fantastic mobility work. There's no real strength in yoga. I'll go round and round with some yogis and some people who are just really, really into yoga. It's like, you can do a lot with body weight. You absolutely can, but you cannot do as much as an external weight is going to do. And, you know, I'm sorry, but little 5-pound dumbbells in Pilates aren't enough either. However, I do yoga, I do Pilates, I get on the treadmill and do my cardio, and I go and deadlift 350 pounds. It takes some of everything, and everything's going to work, but we need to be, as human beings, we need to be well-rounded.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, everyone, I thought that was awesome. I think it's safe to wrap it up. And Marvin, thanks so much for sharing your expertise and inspiring us to look at some of the restrictions our golfers are facing and ourselves. And let's kind of get ready to get out there and have a great golf season. That's where we're at. We're right at the pinnacle of the start, and it's a pretty exciting time, right? The Masters is over. You couldn't get more engagement from, you know, golf in general with people watching the Masters. People that don't even watch golf, they're commenting to me today as a golfer that, hey, did you see the golf yesterday? And it's like, no, what was on TV? You know, like, of course we've seen it. Everybody saw it, right? So, so anyways, the phones should start ringing as soon as the sun gets out and the temperatures get up, but it won't be long. Just want to thank all of you guys for coming out and supporting our continuing education efforts. We'll resume in October of 2024, and we'll do 2 or 3 before Christmas, and then hope to bring some great speakers and topics like tonight across next year's kind of off season. Just like working out, the more we work out our minds over the winter, the better our lessons are all summer, right? You know, and that's what we're trying to do, is trying to build your toolboxes and your skill set so that you're engaged to give lessons and you feel confident that you have more knowledge than the season before. I want to thank Jeff. Jeff's been so good at adding in information and being part of our continuing education program. So Jeff, we all thank you, because we all look up to you and really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks to everybody. Have a great season.
Yeah.
Stay
have a great
fit,
season.
stay well, keep mobile.
Marvin, I hope somebody reaches out to you soon, and we can do something. So, anyways, everybody, we'll call it a night. If you
Thanks, guys.
If you need anything, reach out.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks,
Jeff.
guys. Hope
Thank you.
hope to
Mark,
see you.
everybody.
Hope to see you
Appreciate
June
it.
16th.
June. Yeah, June the 11th.
The 11th. Okay.
June the 11th.
All right.
Yeah.
By the way, Mark, we've been already golfing for over a month now, so I'm sorry to tell you that.
If we could all just live in Vancouver, eh?
Or Mexico.
Yeah, no kidding, Dean. Yeah.
All right. Cheers,
All right.
fellas. Thanks
See you
again, Marvin.
guys.
Thank
Yep.
you very
See you.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
again,
you.
Marvin.
Thanks.
Really appreciate it.